And I love this report in a sort of very political website called Axios that Joe Biden isn't falling over because he's a doddery old man. It's because he has, and I quote here, a physician has diagnosed a combination of significant spinal arthritis and mild post-fracture foot arthritis.
Yeah, so now we already had this story about him using the short steps to get on Air Force One. He no longer goes up the stairs that lead you to the main entrance. He now has to go to the belly of the plane. That's a shorter stint. They switched him over to sneakers. You know how like my Nana, she lived to 101. She switched over to like a house coat and like the slip on. I get it. I'll be there too, God willing, someday. But that's our president in his trainers, as you might say, instead of his actual like presidential shoes. So this is what we're looking to reelect. And none of it's going to work. Blaming the sandbag, blaming the staff, making up fake things that he's getting treated for when we know it's really just old age. Because the latest polls just came out and 74% say he is too old for a second term. 62% of Democrats think that. 62% of Democrats want someone else.
Morning Joe on MSNBC, the lefty cable news show, has now started to turn around and basically show clips of Donald Trump that we have been showing about Joe Biden since the moment he came to office, trying to show dodderiness and forgetfulness and confusion of World War III versus World War II, and he misspoke about which Bush he ran against.
Trump talked about the 2016 presidential race and appeared to confuse his then opponent Jeb Bush with former President George W. Bush.
You know, the beauty was when I came here, everyone thought Bush was going to win. And then they took a poll and they found out Trump was up by about 50 points. Everyone said, what's going on right here? They thought Bush, because Bush supposedly was a military person. Great. You know what? He was a military. He got us into the Middle East. How did that work out, right?
Jonathan Lemire, he was talking, of course, about George W. Bush, but conflated him with Jeb Bush, who was the governor of Florida in March of 2003 when the United States went into Iraq. But for all the talk about Joe Biden's problems and his age and everything else, if you sit and watch not just those clips, but the 40 minutes in South Carolina, some red flags there.
We all know that Donald Trump's brain at times may be like a pinball machine, and he may start a sentence and go somewhere else, but strangely, both halves of the sentence generally end up appealing to someone. Good luck trying to tell us that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are in the same, loony bin category here.
It's not going to work. I mean, sure, has Trump lost a little off his fastball from when he was 40? Yeah, I'm not going to dispute that. But he is still on point. And listen, when I talk to him, I'd ask him a tough question. He'd give me his long wind up, getting out all the stuff he wanted to say on the issue. That's smart politics. And he'd always land it. He'd always come back to, and in answer to your question, he's very sharp and there's just no comparison. Everyone knows that. What's happening with Biden on so many different levels is alarming. One of the most alarming things is, you know how when you get old and you just start saying all the things that you've been holding in all this time? So really the true you comes out. That's Joe Biden. We put together a budded soundbite of the number of times just the past couple of years he's referred to black men as boy. That's this boy, this boy. Oh my God, what is he doing? Not to mention all the stuff he's done with his son. His true character is emerging and it's being rejected by the voters.